No mai, haere mai. Welcome to 3 News. The Prime Minister is staying tight-lipped on whether New Zealand will recognise Palestine as a state later this week. 3 of our closest allies, including Britain, have all done so overnight. And Foreign Minister Winston Peters has now arrived in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, where he'll announce New Zealand's official position. Meanwhile, the death toll in Gaza is now more than 65,000. 40 were killed today, including 19 women and children. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has the latest.
Extraordinary devastation across Gaza as the Israeli offensive continues. The ongoing death and suffering of Palestinian civilians is fuelling outrage across the globe and driving countries to act. Overnight, 3 of New Zealand's closest partners and key Western powers pulled a major diplomatic move. From Downing Street, Sir Keir Starmer said there could be no further delay.
That moment has now arrived. So today, to revive the hope of peace and a 2-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognises the State of Palestine.
Israel hit back hard at the recognition declaration by Britain, Australia and Canada. Calls for a Palestinian state, Benjamin Netanyahu said, endanger our existence and constitute an absurd reward for terrorism. But no rebuke for New Zealand, who still won't commit.
It's a question of when we do that and when is the best time to do that. And there's some serious considerations. And as I said, some partners have decided that now's the time, other partners will decide that's not the time. We're not pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, we're just pro-peace.
Foreign Minister Winston Peters today arrived in New York, where he will attend a 2-state solution conference before having a range of bilateral meetings with other foreign ministers and UN officials. He is then set to announce New Zealand's position on Palestine on the world stage in a speech at the UN General Assembly.
We'll make a final cabinet decision at the end of this week, and then it will be announced publicly by Winston Peters in New York.
This follows a public clash inside the coalition after ACT leader David Seymour made this comment last week.
We're not going to recognise a state that's currently weaponising hostages, holding people for years on end in absolutely inhumane conditions. I mean, who would recognise that?
That earned him a swift swipe back from Peters, who said the government's position is articulated by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, going on to say that for the second time Seymour is talking out of his field. The Prime Minister also called Seymour into his office.
I spoke to David, Winston speaking for us on Foreign Affairs, and he's the one that's leading our cabinet through that position.
Seymour declined an interview about this today. The great fear for many Western leaders is that Israeli actions on the ground, not just military action in Gaza, but also settler violence on the West Bank, will soon destroy any prospects of a viable Palestinian state.
The hope of a 2-state solution is fading. But we cannot let that light go out.
With the UK, France, Russia and China now recognising Palestine as a state, the US is the only permanent UN member that doesn't. It's far from clear whether the diplomatic pressure will alleviate the suffering in Gaza in any way. But now the world will be watching what New Zealand does next.